Hey everybody, this is Joshua with the Tendonitis Expert. And this video is about knee tendonitis, the medical myth around knee tendonitis, and how to fix it. So obviously here's your bone and all the stuff over your bone. If you have knee tendonitis, you probably have complaints about pain right here, or pain right here, or pain right here, or multiple spots of pain on the knee. You might also have some stuff around the leg and some other secondary complaints, but in general, knee tendonitis diagnosis happens because you have painful tendons, one or more. Now the myth, let me clear that out, the myth is that if you hurt right here, that is the problem. That's why doctors say you have a tendon problem. That's why doctors give you anti-inflammatories for the tendon problem. That's why doctors give you corticosteroid injections for the tendon problem. That's why they tell you to rest so that the tendon can heal. The myth is the doctors think that knee tendonitis is a tendon problem, and the tendon gets all the focus. But that's silly. The reality is that this pain right here that gets all the focus, that's not actually the problem. That's just a symptom of the problem. That's where the pain ends up. In reality, knee tendonitis is an issue of a much larger ecology, potentially ecology of the entire leg. That's why most treatments fail to fix it, is because they don't focus on the right things. They focus on the tendon itself. Tendonitis is a dynamic. And that means there's multiple factors at play. Tendons don't just hurt magically out of the blue for no reason, which is essentially what your doctors tell you will happen. Maybe they'll have an idea of muscle imbalance and send you to a PT, but for the most part, they focus on the tendon. They think that's the problem, and that somehow it just magically happened. But you know better, and especially now you know better, because tendonitis consists of three factors: muscle and connective tissue tightness, chronic inflammation, and nutritional insufficiency. And all three of those work together to cause pain and problem. Again, most treatments fail because to get rid of tendonitis, you have to deal with each of these factors. If you only deal with one, then you might feel better for a while, but sooner or later, the nutritional inflammation and the inflammation is just going to come back to create more tightness, to create more knee pain. Same thing, if you adequately deal with inflammation, you still have nutritional insufficiency and tightness, and eventually the inflammation is going to kick up again. Along those lines, corticosteroids and anti-inflammatories, they don't get rid of the cause of the inflammation, they only get rid of the inflammation, which generally is why the pain and inflammation comes back. So anywho, the myth is that this spot is the problem. The reality is the problem is a much bigger ecology, and it consists primarily of tightness, inflammation, and nutritional insufficiency. Looking at your leg with this view, let's say that you have some patellar tendon pain and you have some pain right here. For the most part, what your doctor is going to do is go, you have pain right here and you have pain right here, you must have knee tendonitis. You have a tendon problem. Let's see what we can do about that tendon problem. And they'll prescribe you anti-inflammatories and rest and tell you to stop your sport or hobby that you do to try to have the tendon get better. Maybe, like I said, they'll have an idea about muscle imbalance, so they'll send you to a physical therapist and they'll do some stuff to try to balance out your muscles. So that's neat and all, but here's what's really going on with all this. So remember, tightness, inflammation, nutritional insufficiency. So if you have patella pain or patella tendon pain and pain on that tendon or any other tendon, whether it's one spot or more spot, essentially what that means is this muscle and connective tissue is too tight. It also means that this muscle and connective tissue is too tight. Realistically, what it means is the muscles around them are also too tight. And those muscles are all covered with connective tissue, and those are all covered with connective tissue, and that connective tissue is shrunk down too tight. So basically you have a lot of tightness going all around through there. So let's clear that up just for fun. Unfortunately, you have tightness there, but you're also going to have tightness down here, because that's just kind of how it works. Tightness spreads. When this is too tight and not working very well, everything else has to compensate for it. And when this compensates for it, then this has to compensate for it, for instance. In any particular order, It's an ecology. Everything from here to here is involved. Maybe even higher, depending on what you have going on. So, okay, so you get the concept that there's tightness in the muscles connected to specific tendons, but also tightness everywhere else. Okay, good. Eventually, when you've been tight for too long, even before you feel pain, you're going to start a process of inflammation. And one of the things with inflammation is it releases chemicals which enhance your sensitivity to pain. So now, all right around here, you have chemical which enhances your sensitivity to pain being dumped out into the system. And eventually that spreads. So then you have that chemical in other places too. And essentially, that puts your neuroreceptors on edge. So every little thing is going to cause a pain signal to go to your brain, basically. And what does the brain do in that scenario? It turns up the tightness to guard and protect. What does that do? It causes more pull on all the connections and all the little bits and all the nerve receptors. And so what does the brain do? It triggers more inflammation. Nutritional insufficiency plays a role from the very beginning. Muscles can't operate properly if they don't have the right nutrition. Inflammation eats up nutrition. So tightness eats up nutrition. Inflammation eats up nutrition. And when you don't have enough nutrition, then you get more tight and more inflammation. And that causes more nutritional insufficiency, which causes. So you can see how there's kind of a feedback loop here where one thing causes another thing, causes another thing, causes another thing, causes another thing, causes another thing. And that's kind of the downward spiral of tendonitis. Generally, by default, the body's kind of always going downward into more pain, more tightness, more pain, more tightness. Even if you don't feel pain, your brain is and will. So, again, I say, if you want to fix your knee tendonitis, it would behoove you to not focus on that one spot. It would behoove you to look at the bigger picture, and any treatment you want that's going to actually fix knee tendonitis has to deal with the tightness, has to effectively deal with the tightness, has to effectively deal with inflammation, and has to effectively deal with nutritional insufficiency. That is how you fix knee tendonitis. So if you'd like to find out more about knee tendonitis, visit my website, tendonitisexpert.com, and find the appropriate page.